this tool I'm using here, guys, is called a hot cut. So this was a kind of a little experimental job that I worked on a couple weeks ago, and I didn't like the way that particular one turned out. So I'll just go ahead and kind of reclaim this piece of steel. This is just a nice scrap piece now that I'll be able to make probably 5 or 6 of those leaf keychains out of today and tomorrow. All right, so now I better go ahead and cut this in half. It's a little bit awkward to work that leaf off a long rod. I can if I have to, but in this case, I'm gonna need small chunks. So we'll go ahead and notch that again. Then I can start prepping a couple more leaves. Down inside this fire, typically those coals are over about 2,300, 2,400 degrees. This is a fuel that is like a processed coal. This is what's known as coke. So coke is burning hotter and cleaner than just raw coal. That's the best part about it, is that it burns pretty much smoke, which you'll notice. So that cleanliness allows not only for not a bunch of stuff to breathe in here, but it allows for just some good quality heat where we're not putting a lot of impurities into the steel. If you've been to older blacksmith shops around the country, you've probably seen the leather bellows more often over here, pumping air. But this is kind of a rare shop, from what I've experienced at historical sites, to see what this looked like post-1900. This is about 1902 technology in here, which means we had electricity, which was pretty rare, of course, for that time. But they brought electricity down here to the horse barn, and that powered belt-driven tools like that drill press over there. Just like the Biltmore house, they were really putting a lot of effort, a lot of money into the farming enterprise. Shortly after the house was finished, that became kind of the main focus of George Vanderbilt's estate. So pretty easy way to cut a piece of steel as long as you've got a good heat, as you can see there. I mean, that was probably only like 1,400 degrees. So really, that's pretty cold in terms of most temperatures I'm going to be working this at. But for something as simple as cutting, we don't need a whole lot. So right now I'm just trying to round off and kind of blunt the end of this scrap rod, because now I can start the process of working a leaf off the end there. I just want to have enough mass to be able to do so. The leaf becomes a common, popular shape in blacksmithing. We see it, throughout the ages. And every blacksmith I've personally learned from tends to make a leaf in a little different way. And one of the reasons that is that in blacksmithing, something that's never really changed about this trade is that you still learn to make the majority of your own tools. So whether it's the tongs, the hammers, the chisels, the punches. I've never made my own file. I don't know anyone that has, but surely somebody out there living has made their own file. That's a big job. But there are some tools we buy, of course, today, but for the most part, it's hard to even find these tools when it comes to the very blacksmith-specific hammers and tongs and chisels. Very few people make this stuff around the world to sell. Sometimes it's out of complete necessity, and other times it's out of a desire to say you made your own tools. The old saying, strike while the iron is hot. You can see where that comes from as you watch this color here fading down. So that dull red is what I'm looking for to signal that this is cold. I can already feel it. It's changing. You can see it and feel strength of the steel coming back. It kind of feels more like a rock and less like a piece of hard clay now. Let's see, here we go. I'm looking for my cross peen hammer. Time to switch over to a bit of a, that one is a cross peen as well, but not quite as narrow on the end here. So I'm going to use this end to now strike the center of that chunk and begin to make the leaf come right out of that. If you folks have any questions at all too, please feel free to let me know. I'm happy to answer. In case you're wondering, I wasn't born a blacksmith. My teacher was, though. The guy who trained me, he started this job at 10 years old, he told me. That was at a local area about 30 minutes north of Asheville, a town called Barnardsville. His family had been living for generations. They were blacksmiths. So Doc's probably one of the last people alive in America, I would guess, who was born a blacksmith. And by the 1950s and early 60s, and from what I've gathered, it seems like most blacksmiths were not, encouraging their children to follow in their footsteps. Most people, by World War II, really, and after, you saw the blacksmiths going into the welding shops, the fabrication shops, the machinist shops, the auto industry. After that first heat, we can see something starting to take shape. The spade is coming out of that piece of steel. The spade will come first, and then the veining of the leaf will hopefully take it to a bit more of a detailed shape.
How do the veins come into that? Do they come in there on their own, or you have to hammer them in?
I'm going to switch over to even a smaller hammer, sir, and cross peen them in. We're just going to kind of freehand cut at an angle. Most blacksmiths will do with a chisel. I found this way is I can get a little more accurate of a veining effect that I'm after. The key right now is just a very even distribution of this material. It's real easy to get this leaf kind of lopsided, and I find they look best in my eye when I've got that same amount of material pushed and pulled both ways. Now working the anvil here, I'm trying to let the anvil do as much work as possible. I'm doing that by bouncing the hammer on the anvil. That is saving my arm an awful lot of work right there. So that rebound effect is just a natural occurrence when you have a good anvil with no cracks in it. If you go to an auction, you'll see people walking up to anvils and doing this. Or they'll have a ball bearing, they'll drop a ball bearing, and they'll watch what the response is, and if it doesn't do what they want, they know that's a worthless anvil right there. Someone's still going to pay $1,000 for it that doesn't know that, but anvils don't go for under $1,000 at auctions these days. Of course, a lot depends on the size of it. Like this is about a 190-pound anvil, so that's a good size one. I mean, you commonly find them 140 to 180, somewhere around there. But when you creep up toward 200, they get a little more expensive and they're a bit more rare. The average blacksmith shop didn't need a 200-pound anvil. The average blacksmith shop was a farmer who happened to be able to fix his own tools. So you see a lot of these 100-pound to 150, like that one, in that range. You see a lot of them. People are collecting animals right now. They're getting so popular. That's why the price has gone so high. Some of you may have seen that television show too, Forged and Fire. That's really got it popular, Before that TV show came out, I mean, anvils were like half the price, and now everybody's after them, which is pretty cool. I mean, it's great that blacksmithing is getting recognized again, which is exciting for the future of this trade. I've worked here almost 10 years, and I don't think I ever really had too many young boys and girls come in here and tell me they want to be a blacksmith when they grow up. But now I've got 10-year-olds coming in here and telling me they're doing this at their house right now. They built their own forge with a leaf blower or a hair dryer usually piped into it. They've got grandpa's anvil, and they're out in the backyard beating 2,000 degree steel trying to make stuff, you know. That's pretty cool. As long as they're safe, that's pretty cool. I encourage that when it was done safely.
My brother-in-law plays around with his son, and he's made a couple knives out of railroad spikes.
Oh, yeah.
The railroad
Awesome.
iron.
That's a lot of work, I'll tell you what. I tried one and I gave up. I was like, that's too much on my arms.
It took him a while, I'm sure, but it nice.
Yeah.
Out really nice. It does.
Did he twist the handle at all on the spike?
No, he actually made it out of wood.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Put a wood handle on it.
That's awesome too. A lot of guys that want to make one kind of quicker, rather than do the wood handle, they'll just twist it out so it kind of like fits
Right.
in your fingers.
Right.
It's kind of, if you get it just right, it feels good in the hand. Yeah, the wood handle, that's great too. Yeah, knife making is, what I've realized recently as I've started to make some knives for the first time is really you got to be a woodworker, a leather worker, and a blacksmith, because, I mean, no good fixed blade knife is going to be sold without a sheath to go with it. So you start realizing there's a lot of steps in that process. And you see a person selling handmade knives for $800 and you're like, you know what, that's worth it. Especially when you see how beautiful some of those are.
He just keeps it for himself, but he's made some pretty good looking ones.
Yeah, he wants to see if he can do it back there.
Yeah, that's great.
And like I say, he watches that TV show, and you go
Yeah.
online and they'll show you how to do everything.
Oh, I know,
You learn a
right?
lot.
Yeah, you watch YouTube. Okay, I'm gonna go be a
Okay.
blacksmith.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's great. A lot of people.
Practice.
Yeah, as long as you got the time to go out there and start hammering, you'll figure it out eventually. As long as your neighbors don't mind
Yeah.
all the sound. Some people find coal to burn. It's really smoky stuff. And that's why a lot of blacksmiths are drawn into propane as the main heat source. It's just a little easier to find too. So that's what I want to see. That is about as thin as I can get it. It's starting to get kind of paper thin out on the edge there. So now is a good time to stamp my maker's mark in the back of the leaf while we still got it flat. So now it's time to vein that leaf. I'm going to come at it and do the left side first, and then we'll match the right. Hopefully, try to get these all to line up right in that center spine of the piece. So now those veins are just kind of lightly cut in there. I don't want to go too deep with them because it might cut right through that leaf if not careful. So just kind of barely below the surface. You've got, I think, enough marking there. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And it's going to become a lot more apparent. Like those lines are kind of hard to see right now.
Oh yeah.
In this lighting. But I'm going to go ahead in a few minutes and show you how to, I'll show you how I'm going to color this leaf, give it that golden look. And that's going to come at the very end here. It's going to really highlight those veins. So, piece of burn up in that fire pretty quick. So you'll notice I'll end up checking a lot to make sure my color is what I think it is. Sometimes I'll be cranking that air to the fire and not quite realize that I've got it so hot the steel is melting in there. That means this fire is getting pretty hot. A propane fire, it's pretty hard to get those hot enough to burn up steel. It's possible, but you gotta have a real high quality one. You could have a real low quality coal forge and still burn up steel, so it doesn't take much. Just a lot of oxygen. Got a couple sharp spots around the edge here to deal with. Yeah, one last little spot. So now I can go ahead and begin to really finish this leaf. We've got just 2 more heats to do this. The next step, I should say, is to fold it in half. This is where you get to really get an idea of just how soft this piece of steel is. This is going to move like clay in a way that we haven't seen yet on this project. Trying to get that split right down the center. This is where I kind of find out just how evenly, in fact, I did spread out both sides. This is what I was saying earlier, trying to move that mass not too heavy to one side. All right, so it kind of looks like I just ruined that leaf, but it's the secret.
That's what I was thinking.
Why did you do all that?
Hang with me for one more heat. I'll show you why I did.
All that work and you beat it flat.
I know, right? You know, I first saw a guy do a leaf like this a couple years ago. I thought, well, why in the world did he just do that? And so it's one of those things that I know I never would have thought of this in a million years, but thankfully somebody showed it to me. There aren't too many things as a blacksmith I find that you just kind of make up on your own without any help. I mean, you know, we're just so heavily inspired by the things we see around us, and this trade is so ancient that it's hard for me to imagine making anything that's never been made before. I'm sure somebody's out there figuring out something, but there's just so many things that have been done. Now, while that leaf is still hot, just the key here is that it can't be glowing hot. The color's got to have faded out of it. So a lot of times we call that a black heat, where it's like 750 to 850 degrees. That's when a piece of steel has gone cold. But this brass brush doesn't think 700 degrees is that cold. It just melted right off of the bristles of that brush, and now we've got color on the steel. We've got a golden leaf. So the veins that
nice.
You could barely see, right? A minute ago we looked at them, you couldn't even make them out. But now we can see the detail on that leaf. And so at this point, folks, that amount of steel that's left, what I'm going to do with this later on, I'm going to have to call it good for now on this process, as we got a school group about to start up here. But that's the end goal, is a leaf keychain. So
nice.
This has become a tradition about 15 years ago in this shop by my teacher. And it's a tradition that I try to continue to this day. I make usually a handful of these every day for the gift shop next door. Just kind of one of the things we've always done. But there's all kinds of variety in the blacksmith world. So thankfully it's not just leaves, but another shape that I make a lot of is the rose. The rose and the leaf are kind of my two favorites. But sometimes things break on the property and I'm doing something I've never done before in here. So it really depends a lot on what the day brings. I suppose it was always like that in here since this shop opened 117 years ago. Never knew what you'd be working on when you came to work. You might have a pile of stuff at the door waiting for them to fix, you know? Whether it was plow points, horseshoes, chains, axes, you name it.
The actual building from 117 years ago?
This is the original building, yes sir. This is the original forge right here. So that's the original drill press, anvil, sharpening stone, and the other things were brought in here 15 years ago. But yeah, this is mostly all the original stuff. So yeah, these tools were built to last, of course. I mean, so man, they made these tools to last generations.